The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.
Well, hello and welcome to the Postcast with me, Mark Story. I'm in here in the studio with Lewis Porteous, my colleague from the Post, and down the line, Tom Seagull of the Post and Frank Hickey from Paddy Power. Afternoon, gents.
Hi, Mark.
Afternoon.
How are you doing? Well, it's the one and only race to consider the best race of the whole year by miles, in my view, the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Now, it's been a bit of the Colin Tizard show all year, hasn't it? And I guess that's reflected in the prices, Frank, isn't it? Could you actually give us the forensic information there?
Yeah, Thistlecrack is 10 to 11, Native River is 5 to 1, Jack Adam 8 to 1, Q Cars 10 to 1, Outlanders 12 to 1, Vroom Vroom, Mag and Bristol de Meyer 16 to 1, Don Poli's 20 to 1, and we're 25 to 1 bar. Of course, we're non-run, no bet in the Gold Cup as well.
Yes, you are. And what prices, like, you know, Colin Tizard to win the race and also maybe have the first three?
Well, Colin Tizard to train the winner of the race is 2 to 7, and to have the first three home is 8 to 1.
The first three, 8 to 1. Lewis, what do you make of those prices? Do they excite you?
Not particularly, but it just shows his domination, doesn't it? It just shows what a hand that any trainer would love to be in his position. Let's get it right. He's got 3 smashing horses in there. For what it's worth, I think Thistlecrack will win. That's nothing obvious, but you've got to look. There is value out there, and you've got to look against. Especially, I'm not that keen on Native River, but like I say, I mean the Gold Cup's an attritional test. They don't hand them out for free, and it's going to take some winning still. But I do think the market leader is something that we've not seen before. Yeah.
You do? You think he's that good?
I do, in my generation.
Yeah. Do you agree with that, Tom?
Yeah, I've said it on here a few times. I think he's the best horse I've ever seen. Yeah, I really do. I think he's absolutely sensational. I've never seen a horse like him. So keen and so enthusiastic and still win, still stay, and still look to have tons left.
Yeah.
Any race he runs in. What I am worried about is his jumping, though. I know he was good at
Interesting.
But it was a 5-runner race, and he was out in front. He was firing at those fences. I think round Cheltenham, we've already seen him have a few problems there. Let's not forget, it was only a 5-runner race. At he's run against 5 runners, and 4 runners, and 5 runners. So I think he's only faced, 19 horses?
Yeah.
Well, not even that, because you've got to take him out of it. So take 4 of them out. He's taken 15 horses in his life.
Yeah.
Cheltenham Gold Cup's a different kettle of fish. I wouldn't back any horse.
No.
Whatever it was, 10 to 11 to win the Gold Cup, even Thistlecrack.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any horse will be found out. You know, if you run it over 6 miles, it'll be found out, or it jumped so many of these fences this course. And you've highlighted the jumping. Lewis, do you think that Cheltenham is a positive or a negative for Thistlecrack?
Well, I mean, we'll learn a lot more on Saturday when the trial, but I wouldn't say the worry is he's jumping. I'd say the worry is he's jumping at Cheltenham because he didn't seem to handle those ditches for whatever reason last time. He took a liberty, didn't he? One of them especially. But then you go back and look at the King George, and it was pretty flawless. Yeah. And so he's not got the experience, but he's learning all the time. I think it's a good call to go there Saturday and give him another spin round.
Yeah. What did you think? We've all seen that stuff on the internet where he took off about outside the wings at one of those. Yeah. It's fantastic, but that doesn't. It looks to me like he just fires at them. He doesn't really, he doesn't really size them up as well as he could do, and therefore round Cheltenham, up and down those hills, round those bends, I just think I think it's an accident waiting to happen myself. I mean, we've all seen, Cato Storr's fallen there. Lots of good. In a Gold Cup. I mean, for me, with that inexperience, I don't know. I'd be worried.
The thing, he's just so athletic and has so much scope. He can almost get away with it. I know you don't get away with it in the Gold Cup, but he clears them by so far. He seems to get away with it. It doesn't take anything out of him. But granted, odds on, I wouldn't be backing him. Do I think he'll win? I still think he wins.
But Lewis, what about the trip? I mean, this Gold Cup trip, coming up the hill at the end, do you think it might just stretch him?
I don't think so, to be honest. There's a little bit of murmuring saying some people thought he was stopping at the end of the King George, but he's tanking to the last. Tom Skoo's there going, whoa, boy, pops over, and then he asks him again, and he picks up, and then Skoo's celebrating to the crowd at half a furlong out. I don't think he'll stop. I don't think that'll beat him. No. If anything will beat him, it'll be the jumping. Yeah, I don't think it's stamina. That's my opinion.
Frank, what do you think?
When I watched the King George, I was really taken by him. But I was one of those people who wasn't sure he was finishing unbelievably strongly. To put it into context, at the end of the day, Q Card's run miles below himself T for 2 was rated 153. No, Tiscrack was eased up, but he's still only a head and a short head behind Q Card. That'll tell you that Q Card hasn't run anywhere within a stone of his best. So 10 to 11 is very skinny for me. I do think, personally, if he has in this race put to bed between the last two, I wouldn't be sure he's just going to fly up that hill. For me, he has to have Native River beaten by then, or I'm a big fan of Native River. Yeah. I think he could give him a right go.
Yeah, I'm the same camp as you, Frank. Absolutely, I love Native River. I think he's got what it takes to possibly win this race.
Bloody hell, rather you than me, boys. 6-1, Native River.
No,
are you sure?
I'm not talking about prices. I don't care. I'm just saying about ability and the fit with this race. I know you're not a fan.
I
think Crack's the most likely winner, but he's the one I like.
I get you, Mark. I think in terms of race fit and fitting into the race, Native River suits the style of the race. For me, he's won two really below par renewals of the Welsh National and the Hennessy for me. I think they were dead races myself. I don't think he's beaten. I really don't think he's beaten anything myself. I mean, we're talking Carol's Destrier, who couldn't win a handicap for Raz de Marie, who was getting lapped in Troy Towns before he ran in. For me, it's not great form. But where I do agree with you is that he looks like a perfect Cheltenham Gold Cup horse in his style of racing and his stamina and his jumping, and that's why I see him being a player. But for me, I wouldn't. He's on form. He's miles behind, in my opinion.
Yeah, but would you not think, like you're saying, I know on the bare facts of it, the Chepstow win wasn't great, but at the same time, from about just after 3 out to maybe 50 yards past that fence, he's put the race to bed in a matter of seconds. And for me, that was very impressive, albeit not the strongest race ever. The same in the Hennessy, again, he's 6 lengths up, jumping the last, like he's idling or whatever in front. Even if you go back to Cheltenham in the 4 miler, I would be pretty confident if you swap the two jockeys on Manila Rocco and Native River, Derek Conham was due to ride him initially before switching to Manila Rocco. And it's no disrespect to Michael Legg, but I'd be pretty sure you'd have got a different result on that day. And if that's the case, you'd have had him going from a Cheltenham Festival winner, Aintree Festival winner, Hennessy winner, Welsh National winner. He's progressing very, very well, and I think this race is tailor-made for him.
So what do you think? 5-1, good price? Clearly you do.
I'll be honest, I've backed him earlier in the year, and I'd probably go in again. I have no problem with it.
Lewis?
Nah, I can't have it. What was bizarre in the Welsh National? He got to run off the same rating. It didn't really show us anything else. I mean, with Tom, I thought the Hennessy was a bad one in terms of the great Hennessy's. I didn't learn much about him in the Welsh National. You say, Frank, that he put it to bed easy between 3 and 2, but Thistlecrack had the King George one turning in. I can't see him having the speed to live with Thistlecrack personally.
Yeah, I tend to think that the Gold Cup is often won by horses like this, and he fits the bill perfectly. But whether it'll be good enough to beat Thistlecrack, no. But if Thistlecrack tips up, what about Q Card? I mean, will we be looking back at the end of the year and go 12-1 for Q Card? We were mad not to back him.
I'll
Lewis.
say it now, 10-12-1. I think that's a big price.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of him.
Yeah,
but it's more than that. The way he put Connie Gree to bed at Haydock, for example, he wasn't at his best in the King George. The ground was too fast. He's better left-handed. He comes up the Cheltenham Hill. If there's a bit of ease in that ground, crikey. And the thing is, Paddy won't have to serve it up to him like he did in the King George. Take your time, and he'll finish the race. I think he's turned into this more of an attritional horse, more of a stayer now than in his youth. I think he's a player. The stats are against him age-wise, granted. I think he'll run a place 10-12-1. If you asked me to have a bet today, that's where it would be each way.
Tom, your favourite horse, isn't it, Q Card? The posters up on the wall at home, haven't you?
No, just Annie Power. Yeah, he can't fit in. There's no space. Q Card. Yeah, I agree entirely with Lewis. When I had a look at this anti-post, they were umming and ahhing about the Ryanair and saying he might run in the Ryanair, and I didn't want to suggest him at 12-1 because of that fact that they were talking about the other race. Now, if I had my time again, he would definitely be my selection. I'm absolutely convinced he's about 2 stone below his form right-handed. I know he's won a King George, but I think he'd have been third in a normal race. I think Don Cossack would have won. I think Vautour jumped out to his left the whole way round. I know he's won a King George round there, but I think he's miles below his form right-handed. I think he's won from, for a horse as good as Q Card, his last 7 or 8 rounds, I think he's won 1, and that was when he should have been third. So he should have been 0 from 9. For me, he's miles better right-handed. What I would say is I'm not totally convinced last year's stay and chase form is that good, to be honest. I mean, it's a Lazarus-like thing for Q Card, isn't it? I mean, 2 years ago, people talking about being this good, this great, fantastic horse, it just wouldn't have happened. Everyone would have said, "Oh, it's Q Card. That's how good he is." We know he's not quite that good, and so that, for me, at the age of 10, puts it in a little bit of perspective. I'm not sure last year's stay and chase form was as good as the Thistle Cracks or some of these new horses coming up. But I still think around Cheltenham, if there's some give in the ground, I think I cannot see him being out the frame. And I think at 12-1, if you've got Jack Adam at 10s and him at 12s, I mean, I think there's only one bet. I think Q Card's a much better horse than Jack Adam.
Yeah. You think Jack Adam's just kind of we know his level, and he's not going to win enough races. No, he doesn't. No.
He's a pretty decent horse. I have no problem. He's finished second twice before. He's still young. But what are we talking? He's running 6, 7 races, and let's go back. He's won the same race twice, the John Durkan. Apart from that, we have to go back to the Thyestes in January 2015, since he last won a race. It's okay. He's very, very good. He's very, very solid. But when you're talking about Gold Cups, you hope something could beat him.
Let Paddy Power help you get Cheltenham ready with their new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Get instant access to your winnings at ATMs, online, or even in your local supermarket. 18+, gambleaware.co.uk. T&Cs apply.
Paddy Power 8-1 that Colin Tizard trains the first 3 home in the Gold Cup. We've discussed those 3, and Tom's just talked about Jack Adam. Lewis, do you agree with him that we kind of know how good Jack Adam is, and it'd be disappointed if a horse that finished second 2 years in a row could go and win it this year with the opposition that we've got on the table this time?
Yeah, 100% agree. It's hard to crab him to second in 2 Gold Cups, crying out loud, but it'd be disappointing if there wasn't something will come up the hill better than him. That's my feeling. I was just a bit I wasn't that enthused about him in Ireland last time. I just thought he had everything there. He was on the inside, jumped well, and then there just wasn't that fizz at the end, and that's what I think will cost him winning a Gold Cup in his career.
Yeah. Frank?
Yeah, I was looking there this morning, his profile, he's run 3 miles plus 9 times and only won the once, which was the Thyestes win off 145. And while he is very consistent, he's vulnerable to something. As in, I think if you're backing Jack Adam, you're backing for place money only. I don't think he's going to win a Gold Cup.
You're not interested?
No, he wouldn't.
You should remember the fellow, though, wasn't he? Because he was second in 3, was he, before he won it? So it's possible to do it. I mean, let's don't forget, he's only 8. I mean, he's still a young horse. He's still progressive, and he jumps well, and he's
just
another
not sure
one.
He wants 3.25 miles, though, Tom.
That still nags me a bit. But when you watch the Thyestes again, which I did the other day, you'd say you want 4 miles, not 3. But just something about him. Maybe it's my fault, because I was sort of expecting him to be the next big thing. I was been a massive fan of him after the Thyestes, and he just hasn't quite delivered. No, we've all seen these stay and chases. They're as much about rhythm and luck as anything else.
Yeah.
If he gets into a rhythm and jumps really well, and he's got the best jockey and he's got the best trainer, so he's got lots going for him. I'd just be slightly disappointed if he won a Gold Cup now.
You said he's progressive. Do you think he still is?
Did I say he was progressive? I didn't mean I didn't really mean that. What I meant was that he's still young enough to have some progression in him. I haven't necessarily seen it. Like the boys said there, I was a little bit disappointed with him in Ireland. I thought he had the run of the race. I thought he had everything go his way. In contrast to the guys, I thought he just looked like a real old slow plodder that day. I thought he just stayed on rather than do anything exceptional. I don't know.
He looked like a horse that had 2 grueling Gold Cups in him a little bit.
He does a bit.
That's what struck me there, and I was like, he's gonna hack up here, and then it just wasn't in his legs, was it? I don't know.
No. Something about look. Lots of people who I respect greatly say are very keen on him as an each way bet, and I can see it. Look, he's been second twice before. Why not take the 10-1? He's going to run. We know that. If you don't like Q Card, he's the solid. He's got a solid each way chance, surely.
Frank, what do you looking back on the Lexus? What did you think of the winner, Outlander?
He did it well on the day. I was a little disappointed with the race when he won. But then again, Gordon might have just eked out a bit of improvement if that's possible. It was just a race where I was disappointed with it. I thought the winner would come from Jack Adam or Vance Lido. When it didn't, I was a bit surprised. And yeah, I know Tom's put him up, and like if Gordon has improved him a bit, he's going to be in the frame. But yeah, I was disappointed with the race, to be honest.
So you haven't sort of revised your opinion of him in light of that race? You just don't think he's going to be good enough?
Yeah, when I look at it, like, obviously Tiscrack is the one that could be by far the best. And for me, I thought Native River is the next best with potential, and Outlander, he just wouldn't be for me. He's not, like, if I was looking at one at a price, yeah, it'd be more like Manila Rocco.
Okay. Oh, Miller, okay. All right. Interesting. We'll come to that in a minute. But Tom, case for the defence of Outlander's chances, please.
There's not much to say, is there? He's run once over 3 miles in a Grade 1, and he's won easily in the Lexus, beating horses that have. Don Polly had won it the year before. He'd been placed in a Gold Cup. Jack Adams been placed in 2 Gold Cups. Valsolido's been placed in 2 Ryanair's. Takenda Soy's won a JLT or whatever it was called, and a Paddy, not the Paddy Power, Bet Victor this year. More of that's won a Stayers Hurdles. Urbana's won a Grade 1. Road to Riches has won Grade 1. Lord Mindermere. I mean, we go through the whole field, and it's a really, to me, I can't see any reason why it isn't going to represent strong form. And he won it easily. Now, before that, he's got a bit of a not a checkered career, but he didn't win that many races over fences before that. But let's not forget, he was a good hurdler. He was 4-1 to win a Neptune one year and wasn't beaten far. He was second in Grade 1s over, he won Grade 2s over hurdlers, beating Martello Tower and horses like that went on Cheltenham. I just think he's probably one of those horses that was at Willys and maybe sort of got sort of, not the second string, but sort of went slightly under the radar, so wasn't maybe trained as the superstar of that he could have been. And I think he's gone to Gordon's, and he's probably the best staying chaser in his yard now. And I think he's, we've all seen what Gordon does with these chases. He's instant win. Every time I look up, he's winning another big chase somewhere along the line. He's got a great trainer. He's going to have a great jockey. He stays 3 miles well. 16-1, 14-1. He's the one there. He's the one that I think has the potential to sort of break into the big time. I think we know where the rest of them are, bar Thistlecrack. I think he's the one horse with the potential, and that's why I went for him.
Lewis, do you think the move to Elliott's been key to the improvement?
Oh, yeah, showing he has strived for it. There's no doubt about it. He strived for the step up in trip there more than anything. That's been the making of him. You'd watch that Lexus and you say, "I'll confirm it all day long." Yeah. Tom's already made the case in the paper, and very well too. And I could see him hit the frame. If still Thistlecrack stands up, he won't.
Take Thistlecrack out of it. Who would you be looking at this point?
I think Q Card. Yeah, that Q Card be my bet. I think that Bristol Demai, I'd be interested to see what the lads say about him, because if you fancy Native River, you could easily make a case for Bristol Demai in that he won that Peter Marsh off 154. Native River won the Welsh National off 155. I mean, he won by 22 lengths on Saturday. I just see Sam and Nears just tweeted and said he's 166 now. So
right,
but like I said, I don't think he's going to be quite good enough.
Interestingly, you're right there. You're right. You're spot on there, Lewis. If you go to our guy Steve Mason, the Racing Post ratings guy, he has Bristol Demai rated higher than Native River now, and I can perfectly understand that. For me, that race on Saturday was better than the Welsh National. It was better than the Hennessy. Just because they're called those races, everyone expects them to be fantastic races. I just think that the race on Saturday was a really strong race. What I would have against him is that he just seems to be so much better at Haydock than anywhere else. That was. I mean, I was cross with myself for missing him, although he was only about 4 or 5 to 1. But he's run twice at Haydock, and I think he's won by 32 lengths and 22 lengths. I mean, he just absolutely loves the place. And I remember speaking to a couple of the jockeys. I think it was Ruby or John Frankham or someone, and I remember speaking to him, and he goes, "There's 2 tracks in the country, Chepstow and Haydock, where you just need course specialists because it's totally different to anywhere else." And I think that's the case for Bristol Demai. It just seems miles better there than he is anywhere else.
Let Paddy Power help you get Cheltenham ready with their new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Get instant access to your winnings at ATMs, online, or even in your local supermarket. 18+, gambleaware.co.uk, T&Cs apply.
So Tom thinks Bristol Demai is a good horse, a better horse than Native River. Lewis agrees with him, but perhaps not the horse for Cheltenham. Frank, where do you stand on this one? You keen?
I think if Native River and Bristol Demai ran and off levels at Cheltenham, I would bet everything I have Native River beat him.
I like you, Frank. I agree.
I think.
Well, over 2 miles. I'd have a very strong bet
in the Gold Cup. In the Gold Cup, now, Tom. No, I would say one thing. If you want to back Bristol to Moy in a big staying chase,
I don't.
The Betfair chase at Haydock next year is the time to hit him.
That's it. You're spot on. Good.
That's when you need to back him. I think he could be a price next year, but for the Gold Cup, he wouldn't be for me. I think Native River beat him at Cheltenham. Haydock could be a different
hell of a performance on Saturday, though, wasn't it?
He was brilliant.
A hell of a performance, yeah.
He was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, he did look Gold Cup class in the way he dismantled the field.
Yeah.
But I do think Cheltenham, even though he ran okay in the JLT, I don't think the Gold Cup is.
I agree with you there, Frank.
I
would be a Native River man too at Cheltenham every day of the week over Bristol to Moy.
Frank, what else you like looking down the field, potential field?
I was looking at there and I was like, if I was having a bet today, John Joe came out and said that Manila Rocco was on target for the Irish Gold Cup, and since we're non-run no bet 25 to 1, I was looking at the Irish Gold Cup and it's not, it's not impossible he could win that. Like Don Poley's 15 to 8 fav, Empire of Dirt 7 to 2, Carniflat 7 to 2, like. They're not horses you'd be overly afraid of. And when I was looking, I was thinking, Manila Rock could easily win that race, and the 25 to 1 could be 6, 7, 8 to 1, no problem. Like when you time in with Native River last year, like he beat him in the 4-miler. He seemed to come alive at Cheltenham in the spring, which John Joes seemed to do every so often. Now you would be worried he took a crashing fall at Aintree, but of the ones at a big price, he'd be the one to be most likely to take a flyer on. Now I do see that. Sizing John is also on target for the Irish Gold Cup, which is a little bit interesting too. But again, we don't know whether he'll stay, but we know Manila Rocco will. But they'd be the two that would interest me of the bigger price ones.
Okay, Tom, what would you be taking a flyer on?
Well, I think Manila Rocco is definitely interesting. I'm worried about his jumping, but I think Frank just went through the prices there for the Irish Gold Cup. And said that the second favourite was a horse called Empire of Dirt at 7 to 2. Well, he's 40 to 1, or I don't know what price. He's 25 to 1 with Frank for the Gold Cup. If he wins that, I think he's a player. I don't think I've seen a horse win. His Troy Town performance. Now that it wasn't a great race either, but he couldn't have won easier. He won the handicap at Cheltenham last year. Couldn't have won that easier. His last 3 wins have been in top class, high class handicap chase, and he's won all of them in a canter. My worry about him is 3 1/4 miles, but I do think he's a very, very interesting horse going forward. Empire of Dirt. He's getting on actually. I think he's a 10-year-old now, but I think there's plenty to. He's just an interesting horse. He travels, he jumps, he seems to win every race. The last 3 runs have been totally extraordinarily easy wins, and I don't know. He could be anything. I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's going to be a player in one race at Cheltenham. Whether it's a Ryanair, which is possible because it's over the same course and distance he won his handicap over last year. I think it'll be interesting to see how he gets on against the grade 1 chasers in the Irish Gold Cup. I think he's up to it.
Lewis, the Gold Cup hasn't got a history of throwing up a big priced horse plodding in at third, or is there anything down the field you think has got a chance of either winning it or just or showing very well?
You're like this one who might come from the clouds.
Yeah.
Is many clouds.
Good, you see. We've been storing that that one up, haven't you?
God. So you set him up, lads. I'll knock him down. I wouldn't have dreamed of saying this at the end of last season, but there was something about his reappearance at Aintree that I really liked. He's had the window. You've seen what that did for Q Card. He won a national off 160. He's 166 now. And if that breathing up has just eked out a little bit more, it's not the most stupid thing in the world at 40 to 1 to see him, running on. He gets carried out on his shield every time. He's going to turn up and run. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Saturday. Because by all accounts, Sherwood's keen to have a crack at Thistle Crown. I love that. I love Sherwood saying that. But, at 40 to 1, I just thought that was big on a horse who 9 times out of 10 turns up.
So would that be your sort of each way pick for the race?
Nah, it's a Q Card.
But Thistle Crack to win it?
I think Thistle Crack, Q Card, Outlander would be my idea of the 3. But if one was going to come in and upset him and run a place at a huge price, I'd say Many Clouds. I've not backed it, and I don't think I will be, to be honest.
No, but that's the one. Tom, how would you see the first 3 panning out, and what's your sort of each way?
I desperately want Thistle Crack to win, despite having backed Outlander. I just think he's a fantastic horse. Great for racing. I think we need a. This sounds. Frank's probably not going to like me. We need a British trained chaser. A horse that can get in there and get stuck in now, because I think we've had enough of Duvans and and all these. We need just for the sport. I think we need him to come through and be a real superstar. So I'd love him to win. made the case for Outlander. I agree with Frank about Minaloc Rocco, and I'm a big fan of Empire Dirt. I think, and also one from the Clouds. If you're going to fancy Many Clouds a bit, what's wrong with Smad Place? I thought he ran okay in the Hennessy on ground that was wrong for him. He beat Many Clouds in the trial here last year. The race that we're going to see on Saturday, beat him by miles. He's rated 100. He's rated 160, or whatever he is. He's just the same type of horse that could, if he got into a rhythm, could maybe hit the frame too.
2 in the Thistlecrack camp. Frank, is it 3?
Look, he's the most likely winner. The betting suggests that, but I wouldn't be going near him at those prices. I think there's enough doubt to take him on with the jumping, and I'm not convinced 3.25 miles. I reckon if he tries to go to the front like he did at Kempton, something will hassle him. For me, while I wouldn't recommend backing Native River today, because I think you probably get the same price on the day, he's the one I'm all about. I really think he's tailor-made for the Gold Cup, and I think if Thistlecrack beats him, he'll be a worthy champion.
He's not a good each-way bet. What is?
With the non-runner no bet, the Rocco's a cracking each way at 25 to 1. I think because to run in the Gold Cup, he has to run well in Ireland. If he wins that, he's going to be 6 or 7 to 1, and you're sitting pretty near 25 to 1. If he doesn't run well in Ireland, he won't run in the Gold Cup, and you get your money back.
Thanks, gents. Well, that's all from us now. Join us next Tuesday when we'll be taking a close look at the champion chase and hopefully finding the winner.
I can find it. Duvan.
The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.